Lebel, the French Lebel. This was the very first smokeless powder rifle, right there. The model 1886 R93 Lebel. This particular example right here was manufactured in 1887, when the technology was basically 1 year old. Let's see if I could focus in on that. Get a good look at the date. And it's not working. Pain in the ass these cameras can be sometimes. Trying to get a focus lock on anything. Let's see. There we go. Needs more light, that's all. 1887. You can see it's end marked. The throat was opened up a little bit later on for the ball end cartridge. Take a good look at the markings the other side. There you can see it's a little faint, but it's there. And this particular rifle still shoots. And this is the world's first smokeless powder cartridge, the 8mm Lebel. Now the Germans stole this, probably about as fast as the French came up with it, and turned it into the 8mm Mauser, the world's second smokeless powder rifle. You can see that stock's been around. This rifle probably fought the Great War and who knows what else. And it is still mostly matching. The bolt is what we call force matched to the rifle, which means it was a bolt from something else that was re-serial numbered. You see an interesting little repair there. And I believe we have some other repairs to this stock here and there. Oh yeah, there we go. You can see they did a wood repair right there onto the band. Other than that though, this is a tube magazine rifle. The magazine runs underneath the barrel, and I forget how many rounds this holds. It's about 5 or 6 or somewhere around in there, because I never shoot it with the tube magazine. You see, the original cartridges had a little groove right around the edge there, and that allowed the tip of the bullet behind to ride in that groove and not on the primer. But the new brass doesn't come that way, and I don't like having a bullet to primer in anything I'm shooting in a tube magazine, so I single load it, which is easy to do with a Lebel, as it has a provision for that. And here we have one of the Lebel carbines. This particular one is the 1886 R35, manufactured in 1933. And this is probably my best shooter. It has the best bore of all of the Lebels I have. Not particularly matching, as few of these rifles ever are. I should have dug out the bayonet for this. This has an impressive bayonet. It's a big, long son of a bitch. You wonder how the hell they even managed to maneuver with that in combat, but they did. And this one right here is one of the earlier versions. This is the 1886 M93. Let me get a look there. This particular rifle has an interesting past. This was brought back from Vietnam by a returning American GI. He didn't capture it in battle. He bought it, apparently, as a decorator in some bazaar or whatever the Vietnamese equivalent of a flea market was, I imagine. It's got some interesting little writing on there. I'm really not sure what that is. French rifles turn up all over the world, even Afghanistan, places like that. It's end marked, so it would have been post First World War. And you can see the 1891 date on there. That's a very early one. We have a few little interesting stock repairs on this one too. There's one right there, another one here. The carbines are also tube magazine, obviously with a shorter magazine. It's not a particularly light weapon. There's a lot of steel in these things. But they are handy. They're short. They're proper carbine length of what I would consider it. About a 17-inch barrel or whatever it is on there. And the 93 doesn't have any stock repairs. I always like stock repairs. Interesting how they do those. So fitting the wood in there is so nice and perfect. I mean, if you didn't look close, just going by feel, you wouldn't even know it was there. Let me open the action in one of these and I can show you. Difficult to do this one-handed, but we'll give it a shot. Down in there you see the tube magazine on the bottom. Again, one-handed, this is not easy. Especially when it's a little sticky with oil. You see this little lever down here, right underneath the barrel? That is the cartridge cutoff. Flip it up. You now have a single shot. Cuts off the magazine. Very handy when you do shoot it like I do. Now, of course, I manufacture my own Lebel ammunition. Not hard to manufacture. I mean, basically it's the same exact bullet the German 8mm Mauser uses. In fact, I use the same bullet for both, the .323 diameter bullet. I think these are 170 grain I'm using here, soft point of course. And Privy makes the brass. See if we can get a look at the head stamp on there. Oh, there we go. Brand new brass. Used to have to fire form it from .348 Winchester, but not anymore. Now it's easy, you know, just I run up a 40-50 rounds every now and then and have some fun with these old rifles. Obviously, this doesn't use the clip that the Berthier uses. It's just a single load, the old-fashioned slow way. And the French military was primarily armed with these Lebels through the Great War period. This particular rifle, being 1933, was actually still being manufactured at the eve of World War II, which is utterly amazing for a design like this. You thought they would have updated it, but they hadn't. And I'm sure all three of these rifles fought in World War II, possibly with these two, the Great War as well. And it's pretty good shit. This Lebel, I bought this from a World War I veteran. And I do not remember if he brought this back from France or this was just a weapon he happened to have in his collection. I bought his whole collection. If it's just something he had in his collection or not. He also had this one, which obviously he acquired later somewhere. So it's possible that it might have been just something that he picked up and it wasn't a bring home or a capture. You can see over here we have some interesting battle damage there. Nice little dent in the stock. The French numbered these, but like with the Berthier, when things got tight, they tended to glean whatever they could off the battlefield and patch together whatever they could with the spare parts they were able to find and just put them out there. All three of these rifles have very clean bores, not surprising, as the French military did not use corrosive primed ammunition. Their first smokeless cartridge was not a corrosive one. I guess they had enough of that with black powder. Only drawback to that is most French surplus you're going to find had about a 40-year shelf life or so, and you forget about having any of it good now. I was one of those people that bought a few thousand rounds of that stuff on the Hotchkiss machine gun clips back in the 1980s. Back then it used to be 2 out of 5 rounds would fire normally. Another round would have a nasty hang fire and one would be dead completely. But now, forget it. Every single round I have is completely dead. I just pull the bullets and use them to reload. This is not one of those pulled bullets. Those are heavier, but that's all they're useful for now. So if you happen to see French surplus, keep that in mind when you buy it. Just buy it for collector's purposes. Oh, yesterday I did a video on the Gavir 98, and I couldn't find a bayonet. Well, this is the Gavir bayonet. You can see it now, the butcher bayonet. Nasty piece of work. Now the Lebel, their bayonets are a spike bayonet, very much like the Mosin Nagant. Guess we can figure out where the Russians got that idea from. But that's the bayonet for that. Figured you can see it now. Promised I'd bring it out when I found it. And that's it for Lebel.